Hey everyone, we're talking about Chronic by 1969, and as you may have guessed from the name, this is a cannabis-scented fragrance. Cannabis-scented fragrances are interesting to me because at first I went into them thinking like, oh, that's going to be so gross, I don't want to smell like I just smoked weed, for numerous reasons. Even when I actually did just smoke weed, I don't want to smell like that to everyone around me. So I was thinking, oh, these are going to be gross. Tried some. Sometimes that was the case, but often actually it does create this really kind of beautiful, fresh, sort of sweet and almost citrusy accord when it's done in a way where it's kind of like fresh weed and not like smoked weed and not like kind of one of the more dank, pungent, gasoline-y type of strains. And then there's ones like this where it is indeed more earthy. I wouldn't say this smells like you just smoked weed, but it is dirty and earthy. So the notes in this are Petitgrain, bitter orange, bitter grapefruit, Russian clary sage, Virginian cedarwood, cannabis accord, of course, amber, patchouli, vetiver, cashmere wood, moss, and musk. So I was hoping kind of with the orange, the Petitgrain, the grapefruit, even amber and some of that would kind of lift it a little bit so that the more earthy, dirty side, like the patchouli and cannabis notes, wouldn't be too overwhelming. Unfortunately, for my taste, it's just too earthy. I'll say that right off the bat. So, the beginning, there's almost like a potted soil type of accord on me, in an almost like bad breath type of way. So, it's kind of like the weed plant itself almost is growing in a big thing of dirt, maybe with some deep trees nearby, or like in a flower nursery type of place. And I don't like that, but I don't like earthy scents in general. So if you do, that's just my taste. I'm not saying that it's bad for an earthy scent. I really don't get a lot of the bitter orange, grapefruit, Petitgrain, which is weird because those type of notes can be pretty strong in an opening, at least usually. But yeah, for me, this is really dirt, cannabis, patchouli, some moss, maybe a little bit of vetiver, and yeah, very bitter aromatic sort of, and earthy. So as it starts to dry down, you're going to get more of the cedar and musk. So it does become more of kind of like a woodsy musk in the dry down. But to me, that's also not, I don't want to say not acceptable, but kind of not, because people are getting this, obviously they want a unique scent. It is unique in the opening. It does smell not quite like anything else out there. You do get the weed accord if you're looking for it. I don't think you're running the risk of someone thinking that you just smoked a joint, unless maybe you overspray and get into an elevator or something. And I wouldn't wear this to work, but in terms of just going out and about. But they might think that you didn't put on deodorant. It does have that kind of hippie vibe. And the reason that I feel that the dry down, which is a lot more palatable, isn't really cool with me is because by that point, it's also not unique. So if you just want a scent that smells like a musky woods, I mean, there's so many that you can get out there like that don't have this kind of potentially offensive opening and middle phase. So this goes for $195 for 100 ml. I'm going to say I think that's overpriced because, again, it doesn't keep that super uniqueness all the way through. I don't like the smell. I think that it's not appealing, but also not so unique that it's like, well, it's not appealing, but it's so incredibly unique and creative that I just appreciate the art of it or something. No, this is just who this would be good for. You're a big fan of earthy stuff. You like the idea of a cannabis accord, and that's kind of it. I also picture the name might be a little bit awkward, like, oh, hey, what are you wearing? 1969 Chronic. Like, that's, yeah. If I loved it, I'd wear it, but I don't even really like it. And I think that you can get other cannabis notes for much cheaper. There's a Mugler cologne that has a cannabis and grapefruit combination that's so nice. It's so fresh and uplifting and not dirty at all. There's a lot more that aren't dirty like this, or even when they are, they're at least done a little bit more interesting. So this isn't for me, but you can sample it for $4. Again, if you are a big earthy scents fan, totally different take on it most likely. But if you aren't, you don't want something that smells at all dirty, I would pass on this.